Hey guys, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Maddie. Welcome back to the podcast. So today with us we have Samantha.
Hi guys.
So, Samantha, what is it that you're going to be sharing with us today that you've been doing with your time of quarantine?
I'm going to be talking about how I've been baking during quarantine and how it's kept me busy.
So, Samantha, what inspired you to start baking?
Well, I've always loved to bake, and when I was really little, my mom would always make Christmas cookies with us during the holidays. And so ever since then, I've been baking a lot to keep me busy. And now that I have more time in quarantine, I've just found myself baking more.
So, your love of baking is kind of grounded in this sense of family, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, what's your favorite part about baking?
Definitely the final product, but I also like the process because while I'm like mixing up the ingredients, I just like listen to music and have a good time.
So, do you do like that kitchen thing where people listen to music and like dance around the kitchen when they think no one's home?
Kind of. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of go crazy while I'm listening to my music, but I try to contain myself because otherwise my parents are gonna think I'm insane.
uh, I'm seeing like a visual of you holding a spoon and like singing into it.
I mean, close.
So, do you have like a set type of music that you like to listen to when you're baking, or is it just whatever you feel like in the moment?
Yeah, it pretty much just varies from time to time, whatever I'm listening to at the moment.
So, what do you think your favorite music would be? Your favorite band, genre, song?
Um, Probably some type of like indie pop. Really depends
Uh,
though.
Quality.
so that's like your baking vibe kind of music.
Sure, yeah.
Kind of chill, kind of relaxed, kind of indie pop.
All right, so back to baking. So it seems like, based on your story about cooking with your mom during Christmas, seems like you've been baking even before this quarantine started. But
Yeah.
now that the quarantine has started, kind of how has that changed the baking? Has it had an effect? Does it change the way that you bake or the things that you bake?
Yeah, definitely. Normally, when we're just in school, I don't really have as much time to bake because I'm busy with school and like tennis and things. But now that we have more time, like a lot of time, I've been baking a lot more, and the things that I've been baking are more time consuming, like overall as well.
Oh, so it's kind of gotten like a bit more complicated. You're looking for bigger projects, something challenging.
Yeah, definitely. Like during the school year, normally I would just stick to like cookies, but now I made like a few cakes.
How do you get
So.
inspired on like what you want to bake for like when you're baking?
Kind of just what I'm in the mood for. Also, like I'll ask my family if they want anything like specific.
Oh. So you kind of have your family involved in the process, right? Like they
Right.
cool. So this whole COVID thing, it's a bit of a downer. Everybody's a little bit terrified. So would you say that you baking and getting your family involved is kind of lightening up the house, having an effect on people?
Yeah, definitely. I think I mean, my parents definitely like it, and so does my brother, because they all have sweet tooth. Um, but yeah, also part of the reason I've been baking more is because it's been my dad's birthday and my brother's birthday. So I thought it was a nice way to like lighten up the mood, even though they can't celebrate their birthday fully.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I feel really bad for the people with birthdays during the quarantine. That can't be a fun experience.
Yeah, definitely.
So since the whole quarantine thing is kind of changing the way that you bake or the reasons that you bake for, do you think the quarantine will have a lasting effect on those?
Um, Honestly, I'm not really sure. I think once things start speeding up again, I'm gonna be a lot busier, of course. So I don't really think it's gonna have a lasting effect, but I think it'll definitely ha no. I don't think it'll have a lasting effect.
Have you like learned any new things to bake? Has the quarantine like give you more time to learn how to bake new cakes or new types of cakes or anything?
Yeah, sure. Um, Before I would really just stick to like one little cookbook and I would just kind of flip through and see whatever. But now that I have more time, I can kind of go online and like look up recipes and expand the things that like I can bake.
So, what are your
So you're
favorite baking websites to go to?
I really like All Recipes and Sally's Baking Addiction.
Cool.
Oh. So, if people want to bake at home, try to maybe check that out. And maybe even you could show us a few of your favorite recipes that you've cooked and we can put them in the description so other people can follow it, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
So, how many things have you baked so far since the day the quarantine started?
Um, at the very beginning of quarantine, I didn't really bake that much, but ever since spring break, things have started picking up. So I think I've baked like two cakes, one like pancake, and I baked scones and cookies.
That's a lot.
That sounds delicious.
I don't know that I've ever made a cake from scratch.
It's
Oh
really not
no.
that hard. It's really not that hard.
No, for me it's always just the mix. Low effort, still a reward, and I'm willing to eat it.
Homemade
The
just
mix
tastes
still
better,
tastes
though.
good though.
Yeah?
Yes.
So I'm guessing it was like kind of spring break. It was then when you're like, oh no, this is real. I have a
Yeah.
lot of time. I should
Yeah.
probably start doing something. I think that's kind of
Exactly.
around the time when all of us were starting to be like, uh-oh, maybe I should find something to do.
Yeah. It's because school, for me at least, takes up most of my day.
But it's still like so much more time than we would have otherwise if we're going to school and coming back and having extracurricular activities that we're all kind of, I never thought I'd say this, but bored with free time. Like,
Yeah,
kind of feels like I
definitely.
can't stand anymore. I'm like, I have to get up and do something.
Yeah, you just kind of feel the need to get a hobby or to start learning something or just
Yeah,
to do
'cause for
anything, really. It's just a lot of time.
yeah, I feel like free time's only fun when you have something to do with it.
Yeah, and free time's only fun when it's because you want the free time, not because the
Yeah.
free time's been forced on you by a global pandemic.
Not very fun.
That might make it a little less enjoyable.
Just a
So
little
it's
bit.
really nice that you already had a nice hobby you're pretty passionate about, that you already had some skill in that you were able to, kind of pick up the pace with during the quarantine.
Yeah, definitely. It helped out a lot.
So I kind of have to ask now, just because you've baked all of this stuff, out of all of that you've told us, what's the favorite thing that you've baked over the quarantine? What tasted the best or was the most fun to make? What did your family like the best? Just what had the best outcome?
Um, just last weekend I baked a chocolate cake for my dad's birthday and it was pretty good. I liked it a lot and it was definitely really fun to decorate. So that was my favorite.
How'd you decorate it? I'm really curious.
I used one of these like piping bag tips. I lost the piping bag, but I used the tips and I made these like rosette swirls on the cake.
Can we see a picture?
Yeah, definitely.
So just in general, not necessarily that you bake, but just to eat. What's your favorite like sweet or baking item?
Um, I'd have to say either chocolate chip cookies or probably like cheesecake.
Oh my god, cheesecake is my favorite thing
It's
in the
so
entire.
good.
I miss it so much. Oh my god, it's so good.
Lauren, you were telling me the story before that I thought was hilarious about some like Frankenstein baking experience. I think it'd be a little bit funny to show that, juxtaposition between Samantha's lovely expert baking and whatever you did.
Yes, so 2 years ago, I was at my cousin's house in the summer, and it was my other cousin's birthday, and we were like, we should make her a cake. But at the store, they only had cheesecake mix and brownie mix. So what I did is I just, we're like, that's all we have. We want both. We can't decide. Let's just, pour them in together. And we
Oh
didn't, and
boy.
the recipe called for vegetable oil. And we didn't have any vegetable oil, so we found olive oil. We're like, olives are vegetables. So we just poured the olive oil in there, mixed it all up, put some eggs in there, put it in the fridge for a couple hours, and boom. We had my beautiful and delicious creation that we called the chowny.
It sounds like terrifying. I'm pretty sure that's a thing, like a brownie cheesecake, but I don't
It's
think
not what they were
that's how you
talking
make
about.
it with
The
raw
idea was
baked
there, the
eggs.
execution, not so much.
Yeah.
It tasted
Lauren,
horrible, but it was so good.
I think it might be a good thing that your hobby isn't cooking.
Yeah, that's not my area.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, let's leave that to Samantha.
Yeah, she's the cooking
All
expert.
right. So, you have told us what your favorite thing that you've baked is so far. Just kind of out of a morbid curiosity, what is the worst thing that you've baked?
So a while ago, my friend and I also had a Frankenstein-esque experience. We wanted to make a cake, or I don't even know, either cake or cookies from scratch with no recipe, because why use a recipe when you could just create your own and hope that it turns out great?
Exactly.
So we did it, and we also used like food coloring, and it came out green, I think. And it was like this green cake cookie. It didn't taste like it like tasted like a cookie, but it had the texture of cake. It was the most bizarre thing. And then a few years later, we were like, okay, let's try this again. I don't know what made us think that we could do it better, but for some reason we did. And I think that time it came out blue, and it was literally the exact same experience. It tasted like a cookie, but looked like and had the texture of cake. It was so weird.
Why is it that you said that it came out green and it came out blue? Like you didn't know. Like was it you
Well,
put a mystery thing in and you were like, "Wow, look, it's blue." Did it come
so
out as something wrong?
we intended for it to be like marble cake, where
Oh.
you mix two different
Oh.
colors, but then and we didn't even mix it like the whole way. Like it was still marbly in the pan. But then
Mhm.
when we pulled it out from the oven, it was like green, and it was concerning because you were
Oh.
eating like a green sponge, basically.
So did you mix blue and yellow, or was it like did you mix like red and purple and somehow you got a green cookie?
No, I
Chemical
think we used like
reactions.
orange and yellow or something. It was, I don't know why we were dyeing the cake in the first place, because like it's just so
um,
unnecessary and
What?
a
I
little bit
what?
disgusting. But
Wait,
Back up.
Samantha, you might have eaten the product of a very poisonous chemical reaction if you put in yellow and orange got green. You
yeah,
might have hurt yourself.
That's not good.
um,
I'm concerned about this.
And did it twice.
Oh,
And didn't do
because it
anything
was a
about it.
Frankenstein cookie. It was a
yeah, and
Frankenstein cookie and it turned out green.
it happened twice.
It happened. Was it also like two completely unrelated colors the second time that just ended up suspiciously green?
I think it was like, no, the second time it was blue, which really concerns me because blue's a primary color. But
Yeah, that's
or it
bad.
might have been yellow. I don't know. It was, they were both weird colors. We shouldn't have put food coloring in the cake to begin with.
How
That's all
old
I'm
were
gonna
you
say.
when you did this?
How old was I?
Yeah.
I think we were in third grade and then probably like fifth grade.
That's a little better.
I
Because for
mean,
some reason I was picturing like right now you doing be like, oh no, it's green.
honestly, like I would call my friend and like we could do it again and it would still damage us, but that's fine.
You should make this like a saga with your friend every year. Get back together, make the scary cookies, possibly die.
Bet on the colors. Bet on what color it's going to be.
Yeah, that's good. It's an experience.
Bet you $5 it's purple.
Okay, so how has having like a hobby to like fall back on helped you get through like the monotony of the quarantine?
It definitely breaks up my boredom. Now when I'm like sitting on my bed just like watching YouTube for hours, I can be like, okay, I should get up and do something. And instead of being like, oh, I have no idea what I should do, I can just look up a recipe and do something quick.
And it's always like not only does it alleviate your boredom, but at the end you get a nice tasty snack.
Yep, that's the best part.
It's a double win.
So now that we know all about your baking, we still know that you have a lot of time on your hands, so what else have you been up to?
Yeah,
That's
I've
where I
watched a
am.
lot of YouTube. I've watched a lot of Survivor on Amazon Prime, like a little bit too much, but I've done a few puzzles, just a lot of like homework and writing.
Speaking of puzzles, did you hear that there's a puzzle shortage happening?
Is there
Absolutely,
actually?
I have.
Uh-huh.
My parents are going puzzle crazy. Every time they go out, they're like, check Walmart for puzzles. I have one ordered on Amazon. They're like, they'll finish a puzzle in 3 days, and then there'll be like a 1 day period of like depression where they don't have one, and they're like, we need a puzzle. They're going insane. We
Lots of
have a
families
stack.
are happening.
I'm gesturing like right now, like this thick stack
Two
of
to 3
puzzles.
inches.
Yeah, like completed puzzles on the floor of one of our rooms, just of puzzles that they've been doing nonstop. It's a nightmare. And
I
they
did
get
not know
like
that was a thing.
they
That's
get all
scary.
cranky when they don't have a puzzle. It's insane.
Yeah, lots of families
So
across
trust me,
America. It's happening.
I know that there's a puzzle shortage because my parents are very scared by it. Okay, so puzzles aside, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. It's so amazing to hear about your baking. It seems like you're really using your time wisely, making a product that can help out your entire household, and honestly, just alleviating your own boredom, which is something that we all need to be doing. So, we really appreciate you being here and discussing all the great things that you've been doing. And I
Thanks
hope
for
that you
having
can
me.
continue. The Google form that you can use to apply your project to be on the podcast is linked in the description of this video. We also have a Twitter, an Instagram, and a Facebook, all of which are linked in the description. And so are the recipes, and so are some recipes that Samantha suggested as well.
Okay.
So get productive.
Get creative.
It's your core time to shine.